If I needed a new client today, what would I do? Well, last year, my copywriting agency booked $232,267 in copywriting services, and I posted to my Instagram feed 26 times. That's like maybe every other week. I asked online what you want me to talk about. Caitlin said finding copywriting clients without social media. So no matter what your niche or your industry is, copywriting or not, I want you to use your little brain and think about how can you apply these to your own business to get clients from other methods. Now listen, I would love to get back on the consistent social media train, but I'm a working mom of 3, fairly new with the 3 thing. And most days I'm just trying to figure out how to make it through the day without people under 4 feet tall finding my arts and crafts stash while I'm feeding the baby. So how are we booking copywriting clients? How am I securing clients for me as a writer, my team as writers? Well, I'm gonna tell you in this video, these are 7 ways that we secure and get new clients, and they don't even involve social media. You're welcome. Also, stay tuned till the end. I'm gonna tell you 5 things that I'm not doing well that you can swoop in there and do well on. And I'm gonna tell you where you can go if you wanna clean up your client welcome magazine. Also, shamelessly wearing my own merch. Yay, Oxford commas. Hey there, if we've not met, my name's Ashlyn. I left corporate marketing for freelance copywriting back in 2016, built a dynamite team, and have since booked $1.26 million in copy services to more than 240 clients as a full-fledged copywriting agency. Along the way, I coined the phrase copywriting for creatives and founded the Copy Bar. It's served tens of thousands of customers with copywriting templates, courses, and subscriptions for the creative set. I've cultivated an engaged community inside the Copy Bar Collective, and I stinking love what I do. I'm here to teach you proven strategies from in the trenches, not just of my business, but of what we're seeing in our client work as well. Also, you can work from a place of more rest, less hustle, back to the working mom thing. I get it. Okay, let's get into these 7 tactics. The first one, I speak a fair amount. Before I had kids, I would speak like once a month, traveling, going off to speak somewhere. So I have a lot of thoughts on speaking if you want to include that in your offer ladder. I speak less now. I like to be at home, but I do. I love going out there and speaking. Just January, I spoke, turned around, booked someone at the conference. When I was jotting down these 7 different things that I have done that are not social media related, I thought about, I want to tell them how it applied to my business back when I was just starting, and then how it is applied now. So there, I gave you an example. Ellen Yin is a friend of mine. She spoke at the conference as well. We sat on a panel together. We've been peers for a while, but at the conference, day 1, she came over and she said, I have a project, we need to hire you. So this has worked now, but I was speaking on stage. I spoke on my first stage in August of 2016. I started my business in February. Also, podcasts fall into this realm as well. And I started doing podcasts fairly early on. Look down below. Inside the Copy Bar, I have my exact pitch template that I send out when I want to be on podcasts. I've done a video on how to pitch yourself for media. You should do this. One little tip I give in there, I'll give you here. Try for 5 weeks pitching 5 podcasts a week. It takes a large amount of volume. You're gonna hear a lot of no's, but you'll hear some yeses in there. Before I move on to the second tip, I wanna remind you, there are 5 buckets of traffic, of getting eyeballs and exposure on your business. Yeah, I wasn't on social media that much last year, haven't been on that much this year, but we're booking now, we're booking clients. Exposure is not the same thing as social media. I've not been out here sleeping. There's still been eyeballs on our business. Stay tuned. A few of these are the kind where you get eyeballs on your business when you're asleep, which is amazing. Okay, so that's number 1. I speak a lot, podcasts, stages, get into a pitching rhythm, or at least take yourself in a little pitching blitz 2 times a year. Number 2, I love telling people this one. I pay to be in the room. I especially love when I am the dumb one in the room. If you can figure out a way to pay to not be one of the smartest people in the room, that's amazing. There's so many online groups out there, peer-led masterminds themselves, group coaching programs that have small little cohorts where you get to know other entrepreneurs that are in the same realm and phase of business as you are. I was going to tell you how I booked clients with this. So back in 2016, I used this to book clients because I paid to be in a coaching program. Heather Crabtree was my very first business coach ever. Hired her, I was about 6 months into business, and somebody from that group of other creative small business owners hired me. So it worked then. And then here now, 8 years in business, my own coach hired us to write her website last year. Still works. I think this strategy is so important. My husband is a huge golfer, and we hear that concept before, like deals are made on the golf course. Okay, so what does that look like for us? That's why I think going to conferences and grassroots, being in person together, talking to humans, imagine that. That is the strongest marketing tactic. If you can book stuff via grassroots and word of mouth, that's my favorite one. More on that in just a sec. If you can book stuff that way, oh my gosh, you're set, because that requires a level of integrity from you that sometimes you don't always get on social media. You have to be who you say you are because you're meeting people in person. And if they want to work with you from seeing you in person and getting to talk to you and hear more about what you do, that speaks volumes. Number 3, client referrals. I am not afraid to ask our dream clients for more work either from them or from their BFFs. Fun fact, back maybe it was 2 or 3 years ago, we were writing launch copy for a client named Emily Magers. She's a photographer and she teaches about client experience. And I will never forget, there was the hook that I found for the product was the fact that about 91% of wedding photographer work comes from referrals. 91%, that's crazy. Good work begets more work. If you can be dang good at what you do, that is a marketing tactic in and of itself. I voxed Sarah, who's our head of agency over here, when I had the idea for this YouTube, and I was asking her, how do you think we continue to get clients? And she just said, simple, we stay friends with our clients. We keep talking to them. Again, this has worked this year. We've booked work this year from someone who was at a very large business, and we worked directly with her. She was under the senior business owners. Now she's out on her own and she's sent us work. Now, 2016, how did this work? I went to a conference, secured my first big name, household name client, and she gave my name around all the time. And that is so helpful. I want to call it a little time out on all these different tactics and remind you, if you are stinking good at what you do and become obsessed and fight to get even better at it, you're gonna get more work from clients as they refer your name out, as long as they're willing to share your name. 2 things before I jump to the next tip. You need to be tracking where clients are hearing from you about. We use HoneyBook for the client side of our business, and it is so easy because you can basically just put in a little field, how did you hear about us? Give them a drop down, give them some options, and then they give you a pretty little graph that tells you exactly where people are coming in from. And then I have mentioned this to our members inside the Copybar Collective. Memorize or screenshot this little line. You always want to have a moment if you've worked with somebody and they've been so good where you basically say, you were a dream to work with. I can't clone you, haven't figured that out yet, but can you let us know if there's anybody that is in your circle that would be someone else like you that we can work with, that has integrity, that is fun, that brings us a creative project, that allows us to be innovative. If you have any friends that you would refer to us, ask. It can't hurt, just ask. Number 4, this is related to client referrals, but partner referrals. So who is adjacent to your industry that you can link arms with? Last year, for the very first time, we started an official partner referral side where people that have been clients with us before can get a kickback for sending people our way. But what I love, we took it a step further. Designers out there, if you're a designer watching this video and you want to refer work to us, holla, because we can get you a super sweet discount and major kickbacks. That came from the idea that we love, after we write copy, we love seeing our work when it's so pretty. We want to put it on our fridge because the design, the branding, the install is beautiful. When we were brainstorming and thinking how can we get more of that, we realized we should just start a partner referral system. So we have that now. I looked before I hit record on this video in Simber Studio. They're based in Birmingham. They've already sent us a client. We just started this like end of Q3, maybe Q4 last year. Brand and website designers, that's your cue, holler. We love doing this. Next up, I have a pretty airtight offer script and I say it. I've shared before, but last year was the first year I started tracking once a week. I make myself do what's called my visionary KPI. So saying what I do, how I do it, and who I serve, and saying it either in events where we're at in person, we're meeting people, when I'm asked to introduce myself, even just like personal real life situations, actually saying what I do and not just kind of brushing it off. But if I hop on a call, remember those first 2 things I gave you about being the dumb person in the room, paying to be there, so group programs, and then when I actually go to events or podcast interviews, saying it succinctly. These are the little word truffles that we help our students inside Copywriting for Creatives figure out, and you had better bet that I use them myself in my business. I've actually gone through refining them lately because our business has changed, you grow, you get more sophisticated with time, so reworking what is my little statement, what's my snippet, my little word truffle, having a check mark in my Powersheets that sit next to me, asking me every single week, did I say that out loud? One time this week, that's all. Number 6, SEO. I teased earlier the 5 buckets of traffic. Make sure you go watch that. One of them is SEO. Y'all don't forget, I've got SEO working overtime for my business. Every single month, we get more than 2,000 leads on my website just from Pinterest. Now, half the pins leading to my website now, I hate because the branding has like pink in it and I hated that, but I posted them back in 2016 and they're still working for us. Look down below, I have a Pinterest training that you should get in on. I'm teaching from the trenches with content marketing almost every single week. I'm driving people to my blog. I'm also creating YouTube videos. YouTube is a massive, obviously, SEO engine. It's Google owned. Look at this little snapshot I got in from people and how they've heard about us recently. YouTube, Pinterest, website. Number 7, my newsletter. This is like my passion project. I love sending out our newsletter every single week, or at least close to every single week if a traumatic life event doesn't happen. We've had a lot of those lately. But my newsletter puts my work, my agency's work out in the wild every single week, and we're constantly reminding people that we're here, we do work, you can pay to work with us. We can take things off your plate if you'd like us to. I've done a video recently about how I do newsletters, but I've got a few more coming down the pipeline, so hit subscribe so you can see those as well. At the top of this video, I teased if I needed a new client today, what would I do? First thing I would do, obviously, is send out an email to my list saying, I got a spot open, who wants it? That brings me to 5 strategies I don't do really well. Number 1, I don't slide into DMs. That's a strategy people teach. I'm sure it works really well. We just don't do it that well. I also don't cold email. No ick about that. I think it works really well for some people, but we just don't pitch cold services. Number 3 thing I don't do well, I do not mention that we have spots open pretty regularly. I think, and it's my own fault, I did book myself out 6 months in advance in 2018. Worst idea ever, hated it, it was awful. It gave me no room to pivot or change or take a breather. I learned a lot from that, and I've since tried to not book out that far in advance. So that said, we have spots often. One of my best friends told me, like, Ashlyn, I think people just think you're booked forever. No, we're not. That's the beauty of having multiple writers, is we can cycle through work and we can take on new projects. Now, yeah, it does fill a lot from old clients, but not always. Another thing I don't do well, I need to get better at sharing how we work with regular businesses. I think our name sometimes gets associated with businesses that have a little deeper pockets maybe than the rest of us. And so sometimes people think they can't afford us, but I've taught you guys about pricing and finances, and I believe in staying pretty fair as far as our pricing out there on the market. We don't take royalties or anything crazy. So I've got to get better at that, talking about how we work with regular businesses and talking about our prices, being competitive. Okay, so those are 5 things I'm going to try to work on this year. Look down below. In our shop, we have a guide to how to write your client welcome magazine. Remember, I said if you can have a dang good client experience, good work can beget more good work. And when you're bringing people in, if you can give them a jam up experience that they want to shout out, then they'll come back to you and they'll bring their friends. So look down below, grab that. I hope it was helpful to hear from real life over here what has worked for us to get clients. I realized you could have just asked ChatGPT non-social media ways to get clients. So I really appreciate that I could tell you what works in real life. It was fun. Here's to working from a place of more rest, less hustle, and I'll see you in the next video.